Okay, we'll now move to, in history, to the resolution on the San Onofre power plant safety, and this is your advisor.
I'd like to move the resolution because before restarting the nuclear reactor, San Onofre should undergo a rigorous and transparent public review of the Nuclear Regulatory Commission (NRC) licensing amendment process. We must make certain that before restarting San Onofre nuclear power plant, it is safe for our community and our kids. This resolution does one simple thing: calls for an open public hearing before restarting San Onofre.
I'm Dr. Donald Mosier. I'm a Del Mar City Council member. I'm also a scientist at Scripps Research Institute. I'm going to take my 2 minutes to tell you how the Del Mar City Council reached a unanimous agreement on the same resolution essentially as before you tonight. When we first heard this item in June of last year, there were 3 council members who had reservations about the proposed resolution. One was a lawyer, one was an engineer, and one was a former vice president of San Diego Gas and Electric. We had representatives from Southern California Edison come to our council meeting twice. We also had nuclear experts who commented on the problems with San Onofre. The data that convinced all of our council members to vote for this resolution and for a full amendment process before restarting San Onofre were these data points on which all parties agreed. First, there was significant damage to both steam generators in Unit 2 and Unit 3 that far exceeded the norm in the United States. After one cycle of operation of these new steam generators, Unit 2 had almost 1,600 damaged tubes, which is 400 times the national average, and Unit 3 had 1,800 damaged tubes. After one cycle of operation, the number of tubes out of 13,000 per steam generator that showed significant damage in Unit 2 was almost 5,000, and in Unit 3 was over 10,000. The national average is 4 tubes. The median number of steam generator tubes that were plugged by Southern California Edison because they showed significant damage in Unit 2 is 510, and Unit 3 was 807. The national average is 0. These are significantly flawed steam generators, and that's why we need this full, transparent hearing before the Nuclear Regulatory Commission approves the proposed restart of Unit 2.
Thank you very much. When the buzzer goes off, you can finish your sentence. Some people are very creative with how long their sentence goes.
Ernie McCrae, I'm so enthralled to finally be up here. What are the children to say about us down the line someday when nuclear energy, the best thing going for you and me, does them away? I wrote that stanza in a song to share with some students at my school who were of the opinion that corporations and the government would never do anything that would be harmful to us. And they specifically were of the mind because of what was being said out loud in our society, that nuclear energy was truly the best thing going for you and me, that it was extremely powerful. What they didn't know was that it can't be safely contained for the period of time it needs to be contained, like forever. We did a little research about that, and they agreed. I'm here today as a parent besides being an educator. A few summers ago, I was among several San Diego families that took in children from Belarus who had been victimized by the nuclear accident at Chernobyl. We'll all be gone before we know the full results of such a disaster. And we can only hope that the children who spent a summer with us builds up their immunity to lead healthy lives. We can't let that happen here. A school system, I've always felt, should set an example for society to emulate rather than that general notion of reflecting society. San Diego City Schools should not only stand against San Onofre opening again, it should let our citizens know that it is doing so because a learning environment should be based on critical thinking, And we found out tonight what critical thinking can do for a school and for students. And relevancy, and nothing should be considered more critically than something that is harmful to us, and nothing is more relevant to our well-being than being safe, than being knowledgeable. Give the children something give the children something positive to say about us down the line someday. Don't risk their safety. Don't support anything that might do them away. Support this resolution. Thank you.
Hello, thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak here. My name is Deanna Polk. I'm a registered nurse with a Master's of Science in Homeland Security, an all but thesis for a Master's of Science in Public Health for Global Emergency Preparedness and Response. I've been involved in planning, drilling, developing policy and procedures throughout our county's integrated response that the NRC refers to in the case of a nuclear event. I can tell you that although we have the best integrated response in the country, probably for most disasters, I cannot think of one respondent that is totally comfortable with responding to a nuclear event. We haven't figured out how to decontaminate ambulances, police cars, sheriffs, much less how many teachers, administrators have been trained in sheltering a school in place, how to decontaminate a school bus, how, there are a myriad of problems with the plans that they refer to. I've got, my information is from the Office of Emergency Services, Emergency Management Plan, which you can find on the web at www.sdcounty.gov/OES/emergency management. And you can find all the appendices and see how many different agencies we have that have to collaborate. We have over 35 languages spoken in San Diego County alone. How are we able to inform all of these people, plus undocumented workers, plus our international community, and evacuate them in a timely and safe manner? I worked on state, local, federal, international disaster responses and helped develop and design drills at all those levels, and we have not been able to answer all of those questions. We've come a long way in our response to where some facilities can respond safely, but not a community of millions of people, and definitely not our school children. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Good evening. My name is Martha Sullivan. I'm a community organizer. I'm helping the Coalition of Decommissioning San Onofre work on this issue over the last year. I also worked for the State Public Utilities Commission for 20 years. The last several years of that was managing their environmental assessment process for major utility infrastructure projects, as well as the PUC's major policy changes. I just want to advise you, I think hopefully you got a packet on this item that includes all the resolutions and letters that have been sent similar to the one that you're considering tonight by 7 city council. Those councils include Del Mar, you heard from Dr. Mosier, Encinitas, Irvine, Laguna Beach, Mission Viejo, Santa Monica, and Solana Beach. There's also a resolution in there passed by the California Democratic Party last summer in support of the adjudicated license amendment hearing that we're calling for tonight. And that's in order to provide us with the confidence that we need, that San Onofre will not be allowed to restart without independent expert testimony, without testimony that's under oath before a judge, and where cross-examination is required. Both of our U.S. Senators, Boxer and Feinstein, have been following this very closely, and Senator Boxer particularly, as chair of the Resources and Public Works Committee in the Senate, is following it extremely carefully. She has a staffer assigned basically full-time to this. We've also had letters from the City of Escondido and the City of San Clemente to the NRC and the State PUC expressing concern for the standards that Edison is following in operating these plants. Thank you for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good evening, and thank you for the opportunity to make public comment on this issue. My name is Dr. Jack B. Hammond. I'm an educator in higher education, but I'm here tonight as a member and representative of the San Diego Green Party's County Council. It's our position to make a request that you, as a board, join the Del Mar City Council and pass a resolution endorsing the demand for an evidentiary hearing by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission before any restart of the San Onofre nuclear generating station. By now, we have learned from the terrible lessons of 3 Mile Island, Chernobyl, and Fukushima the devastating effects of what happens when nuclear facilities experiences a meltdown. Their horrendous impact on the surrounding human population and environment is truly unaccessible, not merely at the time of the event, but an indeterminate amount of time in the future. As a facility built on the coastline, the far-reaching environmental devastation of a meltdown at San Onofre is clearly evident. Contamination of the surrounding ocean and its currents and tides would impact far more than the arbitrary 50-mile radius considered by regulatory agencies to be an impact area. Coupled with the facts that this particular facility has more safety violations than any other such facility, and it sits on an active earthquake fault line, it's not a matter of if a tragic event will occur, it's a matter of when. As the board of the largest school district in the county of San Diego, you are in a unique position. You are a powerful government organization, and when you speak, the community listens, and so too other governmental agencies. In considering whether or not to endorse this motion, I would ask you to take into account the safety and well-being of your 135,000 students and innumerable administrators, staff, and faculty. In doing so, the Green Party asks you to stand up and take an affirmative, proactive position with regard to the San Onofre nuclear generation station and pass a resolution demanding a complete evidentiary hearing before any restart is considered. While it is the ultimate goal of our coalition to shut down the San Onofre nuclear generation station, we understand this very important evidentiary hearing is the first step. The endorsement of such a demand by the board of the San Diego Unified School District would go a long way to ensure that first step.
Thank you.
Thank you for your time.
Hi, I'm Audrey Foreman. I'm a freshman at San Diego High School of International Studies. I'm advocating on behalf of Save the World Fridays, an environmental club on campus, for the postponement of the reopening or hearing for the San Onofre nuclear power plant until all necessary precautions have been taken. If San Onofre reopens and an accident, mistake, or faulty machinery were to occur, it would affect 7.4 million people within 5 different counties. San Diego High School is one of the many schools within the 50-mile radius of San Onofre. If my school has to be closed due to a malfunction at San Onofre, my education would be disrupted if we are forced to evacuate, or not to mention my health. For me to strive in an educational environment, I need to feel safe and not to have to worry about things such as San Onofre. Using Chernobyl as an example, entire generations of lives could be disrupted. I do not want this to be my generation. Sorry. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Steinmetz, and thank you for hearing this issue. Around the end of November, there became public knowledge that San Onofre nuclear power plant had an incident of tampering, some would call it sabotage. And to me, it seems ludicrous that anybody would be considering reopening this plant when they have an ongoing investigation by the FBI, and they have yet to identify anybody associated with the tampering/sabotage. The NRC is not even talking about this, and they will not bring it up in public hearings. The FBI won't even acknowledge the fact that there's an investigation going on. We know from insiders at the plant, whistleblowers, they're commonly referred to as, who are telling us about this. You have to ask, why are these people who are equally scared for their jobs telling us about the risks associated with their plant? They're threatened, and they're scared. If the people working at a nuclear power plant are telling us we're scared, you need to listen. And you need to protect your kids. The only thing that we have going for us with regards to the sabotage issue is that San Onofre has recently fired about 1/3 of their force. That means, simple math, you've got a 66% chance that the saboteur is still there. Do any of you feel comfortable with that information? Thank you.
Superintendent Kova, Deputy Superintendent Mayor, Mr. President, ladies and gentlemen of the board. Ramon Espinal, second grade teacher at Rosa Parks Elementary School. I am here to support Mr. Vice's resolution in San Onofre nuclear plant. As a resident of New York City, I remember 3 Mile Island nuclear disaster in the 70s, when not even the good office and the good intention of President Carter could do anything to remediate the radiation and the contamination. I remember Chernobyl in the 1980s and the tens of thousands of people that were affected throughout Europe. We know what happened most recently in 2011 Fukushima Daiichi nuclear plant station in Japan. Thousands of people had to be evacuated. Initially, high level of radiation contamination were detected in Tokyo, 130 miles away from the nuclear disaster. A lot of contamination ran into the Pacific Ocean that affected all the marine life. We could face similar disaster right here. San Onofre is in our backyard, just about 50 miles away from here, from this place over here. In Fukushima, Japan, it was the failure of emergency generators that were partially the cause of the plant's failure in 2011. In San Onofre, the backup generator would be needed to help keep the reactor cool if the power was lost at the site. As we know very well, on December 1st, 2012, investigators found coolant mixed with oil in their safety equipment at San Onofre. We could not expose our people, our children, our students with this risk and probability of another Fukushima type of nuclear disaster. Please support Mr. Vice's resolution. Thank you.
Mr. President, members of the board, my name is Chris Abel. I am with Southern California Edison. I am the Community Outreach Manager at the San Onofre Nuclear Generating Station. Here today, Southern California is respectfully requesting that you postpone any action taken on the resolution today so we can have some more time to better inform the board on the current situation at the plant. You know, at San Onofre, our #1 priority is protecting the health and safety of the public. That's something we take very seriously. We have said from the beginning, as has the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, that we will not restart Unit 2 or Unit 3 until both us and the NRC has deemed that it is safe to do so. In other words, there is no timeline on safety. In reviewing the proposed resolution before you this evening, we have noticed that there are several inaccuracies. And frankly, there are some things in that resolution that are just not true. We would like to invite you to have a full briefing on the situation at Songs. We'd invite you to come down to the plant, see for yourself. If that's not convenient for you, we can offer a briefing to you at your offices or wherever that might be. I think it's important that you understand the rigorous regulatory process by the Nuclear Regulatory Commission, as well as the current situation at Songs, especially as it relates to grid reliability and clean air. The other thing that you have to know is part of this regulatory process are public meetings that have been ongoing. And there's one coming up on February 12th in Capistrano Beach. And at that public meeting, the public will have an opportunity to ask questions of the NRC as well as Southern California Edison. Thank you very much.
Thank you. And Kathy.
Thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm Kathy Iwane. After 25 years in Japan, I evacuated with my 2 daughters due to the nuclear meltdowns of 2011. My husband is Japanese and he remains in Japan. We lived with a Geiger counter for a year, measuring radioactive contamination in our food and in our environment. Our city, Wakayama, is located 380 miles away from the nuclear reactors, and yet we measured locally caught fish to be highly radioactive. In October of 2011, a city councilman's soils test revealed radioactive cesium to be 5 times pre-Fukushima levels at a park near my home. This is not a 20-mile radioactive zone. We're talking about a very, very far zone away from the area, the no-go zone. I researched my daughter's school lunches and found 40% of the ingredients coming from areas near Fukushima. 40% of children who remain in Fukushima are presently being diagnosed with irregularities and nodules of the thyroid gland due to highly contaminated air and food. In Tokyo, radioactive milk from Fukushima is being diluted with other milk and being legally served to children for their school lunches. This disaster has torn apart communities and families all over Japan. Entire towns have been abandoned and thousands of homes and businesses have been lost due to radioactive contamination in Japan. Tokyo Electric Power Company told us that their facilities could withstand all tsunamis, all tsunami, all earthquakes. No one ever imagined the magnitude of 311. I cannot remind our board members enough of our immense responsibility to protect our children in the event of a nuclear disaster at the San Onofre nuclear power plant. I stand with Mr. Beiser and in supporting this resolution. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Any board member comments? Mr. Sarnes.
It's always great to see people from the Del Mar City Council, having had the honor of serving on the council from '84 to '88. It was a very enlightening and often stressful job.
They remember you well.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure. I think one of the reasons in our bylaws for the board that we urge the board to have focus on resolutions and proclamations be specifically related to educational issues is because there are so many issues outside of that affect our community, affect our health, affect our safety, that we could put on the agenda. And while I personally have some concerns about nuclear power, there are so many issues today around our district that affect our kids. A couple years ago, we had a plane coming back to Miramar Air Base that lost power. It flew right over UC High without power, crashed in the neighborhood, and the kids were at lunch break. They saw the parachute eject. We have planes every day fly over from Lindbergh every 3 minutes, take off and land over our schools and near the schools' crash zones and so forth. We have significant health and safety issues in our neighborhoods, from air pollution, from industrial activities in parts of our district affecting some of our schools, from freeway traffic, pollution affecting some of our school sites. All important issues as well. And of course we have the broader safety issues that we are working on at this point. But I don't believe we should be involved in this issue as a school board. And I will not support the resolution. And I believe we have too many important issues that we need to support in the district. And so I will not support this resolution. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments by board members? Okay. And just to clarify on the agenda, it's the line I see is key, requiring the Edison to undergo a public, transparent license amendment hearing regarding the replacement steam generators before the San Onofre nuclear generation station is allowed to restart. There are different opinions about nuclear power in general, but this is very specific to what needs to be done transparently before it's allowed to restart, to my understanding of the resolution. So I would support it. Okay, please vote. Okay, that passes 4-1.